So in today's YouTube video, I wanted to break down what I call my Liberty trading system. Now, for those who know me, I've been trading since 2018. That's when I first got introduced into the markets. However, I didn't really have, a strategy in place. I didn't really know how I was going to structure my day as far as trading goes. And so it wasn't really until 2020, 2021 that I started learning a couple of different concepts like SMC and supply and demand. Since then, really in 2023 and right now where we're at in 2024, I've been able to refine what I really look for and just basically simplify, all of the complications that we can sometimes create for ourselves with our trading plan. And I feel that, Liberty has been able to create a very clean structure for how we actually go about trading. So on today's video, I want to break down, essentially what do I actually look for as far as my confirmations for entering a trade, exiting a trade, how we actually plan our, risk to reward scenarios, and really what type of assets are we trading? Are we going to be trading FX pairs? Are we going to be trading crypto, commodities, indices? So this is going to be a system that really focuses heavily on indices and gold, right? Specifically, I only really trade right now NAS 100 and XAU USD. Basically trimming the fat and breaking it down to two pairs has been able to, create a lot more simplicity in my trading, has been able to help me really hone in and master those two pairs. And that's what Liberty is really about at the end of the day. It's creating, something that I feel anybody could follow, whether you're a newer trader, whether you're an experienced trader, so that you can ultimately have confidence in your consistency as far as your trading results go. So when it comes to Liberty, the whole idea is that we want to actually be trading very specific assets at very specific times of day, right? So the two assets that I really have narrowed down my watch list to, guys, are going to be indices with NAS 100 and commodities where we have gold, aka XAU USD. All right, so between gold and NASDAQ, that's really the only things that I'm focused on trading. Okay, you guys can edit that if you want to trade things like silver, if you want to touch things like US 30, SPX, even if you touch some Forex pairs. What I would say is you want to have them primarily based on anything that is the US dollar. Okay, now based on the lifestyle that I have, I don't want to be trading London session, I don't want to be touching foreign pairs. I want to be trading during and exclusively the New York session. Okay, so New York session, indices with NAS, commodities, we got gold. All right, perfect. So some days we're gonna have setups that look very, very clean on NAS. Other days we're gonna have setups that are very clean on gold. Some days we can even take trades on both, right? But there are gonna be days where even both of them don't have anything that really looks clean, and we simply have a no trade day. All right. I don't really limit myself to only 2 or 3 days of trading. I'm open to trading Monday through Friday. I just keep in mind that really from experience, typically the best days for me are going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that's really how we look at the overall landscape of what are we trading and when are we trading. New York session, two pairs. All right, awesome. So what else is a factor that we have to look into is going to be news. So Forex Factory, the main resource that I use, I personally filter this to high impact news and holidays only. I'm not very interested in yellow folders, orange folders. I'm simply focused on high impact red folders and the silver folders for holidays. Other than that, I filter it out to only US dollar, again, because I'm not trading any foreign items, right? Just simply US based things like gold and NASDAQ, right? Cool. So other than that, we want to scan every single week for high impact red folder news. So this week coming up is going to be Valentine's Day weekend 2024. And we got Monday, no news. Tuesday, we have CPI. Wednesday, no news. Thursday, we got a lot of high impact news, followed some more on Friday. So this is going to be a busy day, a busy week minus Wednesday, really, with all of the high impact stuff that we have going on. All right. So that's really what I'm looking at, just to get a good feel for, when is the liquidity going to be drawn on during the week? When is there going to be a lot of volume, volatility, etc.? Because that's really going to be when we're going to be able to take the best trades, when we have, volume stepping into the market. Okay. So that's very important. Talked about Forex Factory news. We got our pairs down. We got our time of day down. Now, what are the confirmations and what are the things that we're going to look at from a technical analysis perspective when we trade this Liberty system? Number one is going to be key levels. All right, key levels. I have some already marked off on this NASDAQ chart, as you guys can see, with these black horizontal lines. Now, the reason why I call these key levels is because we are going to have price touching these price points multiple times. So here at this 17,680 level roughly, we have touches here, touches here, touches here, and then eventually this breakout here. And I'm going to be showing you guys a great trade setup that was available understanding this system. But as far as key levels go, that's a very obvious one. We also have this level at around 17,360 where we have price touching here and here. We also touch it here, and then we break through here. So we want to identify these key levels because the best trades that I have ever found, after years of trading these markets, regardless if it's NASDAQ or gold or whatever it is if we trade wherever price has historically shown us to react from, we have a lot more high probability and we have very strong moves in the markets, right? Again, if we really look at how price reacted off here, we had a huge drop. Price touches, huge drop. Price touches, huge drop. Here, we break through and end up making this very strong move to the upside. So it is really a game of patience for us to wait for key levels to form, first of all, and then for us to look for future opportunities off of those key levels. Okay, so that is the main thing that I want to look for. The main thing. Now we look for the smaller details, right? The entry criteria, then followed by the exit criteria for a trade. So let's look at a example around this key level right here at 17,690, right? Where we have these multiple touches. So with NASDAQ, we're going to visit and replay this over here. Let's look at some of the details now that we are in and around our key level. What time of day is it when we tap in here? So are we in New York session? Well, guys, if you know, New York session is going to be between 8 a.m. Eastern all the way until about 5 p.m. Eastern. But really, we're looking for those first couple of hours from 8 to about noon for us to really see typically our big movers of the day. There is a indicator you guys can actually search for under indicators that is called sessions. It is by JRFX Addict. I have it saved already here. I will turn that on and filter this, right, for New York session. So here, once we are in our key level, is it now within the New York session? The answer is yes. So that is a good thing, right? So that is the first thing that we have to look at now that we are at the key level. Are we during New York session? Yes. Okay, perfect. We're going to turn this off. Now, something that was really important that I look for as a detail is what happened during Asian session, right? So we're going to filter from New York back to Asian session, and we're going to turn this on. And I want to identify the high and the low of the Asian session, because when we look at that range where we are out of session in the middle of the Asian range, typically whenever we have breakouts of either the high or the low, that can be an extra confirmation for the direction that we want to take a trade in. All right, so I have some of my tools here. I'm going to pull up rectangle and I'm going to mark off from the beginning of Asian range the high to the low of the Asian range right here. And that way I can go ahead and take off this filter for sessions. So we know that right now, again, we are currently within work session. And what happened during Asian range? We made this high, we made this low. London session started around here. We saw that we did not violate or break the low, right? That remained intact. However, once we got till about 7:45, 8 in the morning, which is right for New York session, we see that we break above the Asian high. That is the first indication that we should potentially have a bullish day. So that's one confirmation for a buy potential opportunity. Break above the Asian high. Now, once we get to our key level at 17,690 roughly, notice how price, after spiking above all of this liquidity that was created at this level, we have a steep rejection of that level. Steep rejection of that level. A lot of people, once they see that we have this very strong bearish engulfing candle on the 15-minute time frame, they're going to be very tempted to sell the Nasdaq because their thought process is going to be, well, we just pushed so aggressively high, and now we just got this nice rejection. We should be able to sell that resistance and push lower. That is not how I personally trade. Again, we have confirmation that we have broken above the Asian range prior to getting into New York session. Now we simply have to wait for more confirmation of buy opportunities. If we start to see that after sweeping liquidity of all of these highs that were made over here, and we start to break above again, that would be my confirmation for us to want to get into the buys that aligns with the breakout of the Asian high. So we can drop down to a couple time frames like the 5-minute. We see that we have a couple of demand slash order block candles here. And so let's see, can we get price to break back above this key level and make a new high in the market that can continue a huge bullish move? You see price start to aggressively push back higher here. And this is the moment of truth. Will we again reject off this level, or are we going to break new highs, confirming buy opportunity? So 1 5-minute candle goes, we get a rejection at first, we continue to break lower. Here's where patience is exercised, guys. And now we get that break above the high. So here is really our confirmation that we are in fact bullish. We have not only once broken above the key level, but even after a rejection, we see that we have now broken a new high for bullish price action. From that point, this is really where we want to take opportunities, guys, breaking above this high. The risk to reward element to this trade would be as follows. Putting your stop losses below here. This is about a 60-point trade from the breakout of the high here to the lows that were made before the new move higher. Okay, now where could we really target if we want to take a trade at this level? At this point in time, Nasdaq had pretty much been clearing all-time highs. So there's nothing really to the left of the chart that we can look at to say, hey, we want to revisit prior price points from history. We're actually creating history as we speak in 2024 with the Nasdaq. So typically, we just want to target at least 2 to 3 times our risk, ideally 3 times our risk. So if we're going to be risking 60 points on a trade like this, we'd want to be making 600 pips to 1800 pips, or 60 points for 180 points, right? That is just a standard target that we'd want to set for positive expectancy returns, really just looking to triple whatever we risk on any given setup. And so with Nasdaq, we see that once we break out of that high, guys, we are able to continue this very strong bullish move. We get tapped in, and we simply let action of price really play out, right? So to this point, we enter a trade. We are up already about 80 points, so over a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Now there's a couple of other confirmations that we can really dive into to get even more accurate with our trading. One of them is going to be something called imbalance. And we saw how that really played out on this one particular setup right here. And essentially what imbalance is we're going to have times in the market where we have very explosive moves either to the upside or to the downside, right? In this case, we see that the real strong breakout candle was this one bullish candle right here. Some people may also know this as a fair value gap, right? Depending on what education you might have received in the past. But essentially, this is the breakout candle that created a lot of volume. And if you can see, we do not have any sellers that have come into the market at that point. Usually with price action, you're going to have a good flow of up and down movement, buyers and sellers. However, you're going to have also times in the market where you have explosive moves, again, either to the upside or the downside, where there is an absence of either buyers or sellers. In this case, very strong bullish candle. There is an absence of any sellers until we tap back into the middle of that imbalance for this entry. And you see how we have now pushed away very aggressively. So imbalances are very, very powerful as points of entry, also of points of exit. Really what you can expect is for price to react around imbalances or at least push towards imbalances that are left in price. Okay, so if we really fast forward through this trade idea, guys, at full speed on the 15-minute, we will see that price continues to rally. And we eventually get to over a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And with enough time, we hit TP3 for a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So we set our targets intentionally. We look for great risk to reward ratios to make sure that we make as much as we can per risk that we put on the table. And we really followed all of the rules that we had. We waited for the key level to show itself. We are trading within New York session. We see how price behaves after reacting around a Asian range. And then we really look for confirmation of our directional bias. In this case, we were predicting bullish. We saw initially some strong bearish pressure that ended up getting corrected. And then we really got precise entries like you saw by reacting around imbalances in the market. And then again, targeting something that is at least double or triple or more of whatever we are risking. And so if we really just continue to do that over and over, we will see consistency. We will have clarity in our trading. And that's really all I've wanted after years of, looking at different strategies, whether it was support resistance, trend lines, Fibonacci, whatever the case is. This is really the system that has, again, created clarity for me, has created great results, and really allowed me to make the most per risk that I could really find in the market. And we can look at, so many examples of price doing this over and over and over. I highly recommend that you apply this system, guys, to your back testing first, right? Go on TradingView, use replay tool, really see how these concepts show themselves over and over and over, and you will see the consistency. So as far as Liberty goes, guys, that is a technical standpoint that you've seen right now as far as the confirmations, what we look for to get into a trade, out of a trade, and how to really make sure it's a high probability setup and not just a okay trade, right? We want to look for the best potential opportunities that have multiple confirmations going for us on our side. Now, as far as the Liberty system in terms of, what can we do with this skill set, right? Guys, ultimately what we want to do is we want to leverage either our personal accounts or leverage this consistency to get funded, right? To go out there and seek as much capital that you possibly can through whatever sources you may have, if it's private investors, if it's prop firms, whatever the case is, so that we can put this system to use and eventually diversify whatever profits we can make through day trading, things like NAS, things like gold, right? Putting it into things like cryptocurrency, right? Allowing us to buy and hold for a long-term portfolio. We want to do the same thing and diversify into things like the stock market or individual stocks, right? Eventually, you also want to take some of those profits and really just, again, create multiple sources. Put that into things like Airbnbs, real estate, Some people can get into things like sports betting. I mean, you can really have an array of different ways you can distribute your profits, but ultimately the goal is to not spend your profits, not to just go and blow the money, but find ways to create, other sources that are a little bit more passive. But at the end of the day, guys, trading is a job, right? Trading is something that can be stressful, even with years of experience. You think, over time you're going to touch more and more capital, which means more and more risk per trade. And so if we can go ahead and mitigate some of that risk by taking our profits, securing it, and putting it again into more passive, safer ways to grow our money, that is really how, again, we can create financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom. That's really what Liberty is all about. I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into my Liberty system. You can actually find in the description below a free PDF that is going to be breaking down everything that I just discussed and more. All right, so I will look forward to future videos with y'all. You make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, as I will be dropping videos weekly on this channel. With that said, let's run it up.